Victoria will remain Australia's most indebted state, despite major cuts to health, education and big projects in this year's budget. The state is expected to be $190 billion in the red in just 4 years.
Budgets passed are usually wrapped in sweeteners. Tim Pallas's 10th is instead bound by debt.
Times are tough for many Australians.
Tough too for the Treasurer, interrupted giving his speech.
Order. Order. Clear the upper gallery.
Net debt is still rising, once below $40 billion when Tim Pallas took the books. In 4 years' time, it's forecast to reach nearly $190 billion.
Treasurer, let's talk about debt. $187.8 billion by 2028. I think I asked you a similar question in this very room 4 years ago. How long is that going to take our grandkids to pay off?
Well, the first thing, I'm glad you're worried about grandkids. I didn't think you were that old, Simon, but
30. We only hope.
We all aspire to good things in the future.
The government will raise its waste levy and fire services levy by an average of $35 per household. It's trying to shrink the state's real estate portfolio by decreasing office space and also reducing advertising spending.
We really welcome the news today that there'll be no increased tax burden for the property industry. However, we remain deeply concerned about the lack of positive initiatives to relieve the financial burden on the industry in delivering more housing supply.
Spending on suburban rail loop will continue and the Commonwealth is being bailed up for nearly $12 billion. A big broken promise: the government will no longer build a hospital at Arden in North Melbourne, blaming electromagnetic interference from the Metro Tunnel. A promise by Daniel Andrews.
This is fully costed, fully funded. We're getting on and doing this.
Undone by Jacinta Allen and Tim Pallas.
I'm not always perfect.
Interest is also rising.
Interest will effectively adjust from time to time.
We will be spending more on interest than we spend on families, more on interest than we spend on many parts of our education system. It's money that's simply being wasted.
For a Labor government, this budget is quite conservative. There's no sign of the cuts, closures or mergers that many predicted would happen. Fiscal responsibility is also lacking, with net debt still rising. Ratings agencies Moody's and Standard & Poor's have already had their say, saying that they're not confident that Victoria will be able to pay down its debt by 2028. So Jacinta Allen says that this budget is about delivering for families. But the question is, could the government have gone further?
We're not here to shuffle numbers around a page. We're here to recognise that we have a material impact on people's lives.
But the numbers have still been shuffled. Labor has 2 years to prove they've done it right. Simon Love, Sky News, Melbourne.
Let's go live to the Shadow Finance Minister now, Jane Hume. Is that a wry smile I saw just off camera there looking at Simon's report? You've got to admit the Labor government at a federal level is doing a lot better than Victoria.
Well, the Labor government at a federal level has only been in for 2 years, but I think that yesterday's Victorian budget should be a warning shot right across the country. This is what happens with a Labor government that's settled in for the long term. The Labor government in Victoria clearly cannot manage money. It has sent Victoria broke and it is now having to unwind even its own commitments. Somehow, we are now no longer funding hospitals in Victoria, but are instead funding the boondoggle of the suburban rail loop. And that's being assisted by the decisions being made by the federal Labor government too. If you want to look at wasted mismanagement, you don't need to look any further than the Labor government in Victoria.
Okay, given what Michele Bullock said yesterday about inflation and where rates might go this year and what she is willing to do if necessary, what does that mean for cost of living relief in the budget from Jim Chalmers? Does it need to be very targeted, perhaps, and minimal?
I don't think Michele Bullock could have been any clearer in yesterday's statement of monetary policy. quite frankly, that was a reasonably dire outlook that she was presenting us. She was saying that inflation is going to stay higher for longer, which means that interest rates stay higher for longer, that growth forecasts are flat, that real wages are flat, that productivity has gone backwards. These are the real concerns for Jim Chalmers now, and they will be tested in this upcoming budget, which is why the Coalition has been calling on Jim Chalmers to restore fiscal responsibility and honesty in this budget. Use those guardrails that were always a feature of Coalition budgets to make sure that you spend within an envelope. Aim for a structural surplus, not just a windfall surplus. Tame inflation and restore our standard of living, and then restore opportunity and reward for effort so that small businesses can thrive, so that families can get ahead. These are the tests for Jim Chalmers in the budget next week. Let's see if he can meet them. From the sounds of things, from the announcements that we've had up until now, it's all been about the spend. There's been very little about the save. Any save that they have announced has been, simply, it hasn't been structural. It's simply been over 1 year. That's a real concern, I think, that they haven't made those hard decisions. The surplus that all the pundits are expecting is clearly being driven by two things. It's being driven by bracket creep and it's being driven by high commodity prices. That's the hard work of other people, not the hard work of a Labor government to get the budget in, put it under control, to rein in their spending ambitions and to tame inflation.
So you'll support spending cuts?
Well, we want to see what the structural saves are going to be in this budget because, quite frankly, if the government can't make those structural saves in the budget, that's simply fueling aggregate demand and making the inflation problem worse. And you can see that that's what Michele Bullock is talking about. She's saying that the Reserve Bank is, by no means has it decided to take its foot off the pedal at this point in time because it has to go harder on monetary policy if the government isn't going to use its fiscal policy to tame inflation.